Hello and welcome to this segment of Yavapai Speaks. I'm really honored to have the mayor of Prescott joining us. Now, I had to go out and grab him and bring him in because a lot of people think he doesn't do anything all day. That's wrong, and you're about to find out what this mayor has really done to help Prescott really thrive as Prescott. And I'm really excited that he is taking time out of an extremely busy day, as you're going to find out, and share without promoting himself, some of his accomplishments. And I asked him, I think it was a week ago, 1 or 2 weeks ago, he was speaking. And what really caught my attention is not only his state of the city and what he was sharing, what he had accomplished, or partly what he had accomplished, but what really caught my attention was his concern for the next mayoral contest election coming up. We need some real leaders, not just as a mayor, but in city council and in other facilities, hospital, other things. And I'm concerned. And so I listened to the mayor, and he did not go ahead and rag on anybody. He's not that way. I've known him for 4 years, I think it is, mayor. And I've never heard him do that privately or publicly. But he said some things regarding what we need to be looking for. And that really caught my attention. So I shagged him and said, you've got to come on and we got to talk about this. So I had to buy him a coffee and a bagel to come on, but we did that. No, don't write him. You go out to breakfast with him, he pays for his own breakfast and lunch. I just want to say that. Without any more delay, by Dr. Lyle, I really thank you. I do know you're busy, and some people may think, well, the mayor of Prescott doesn't do much. I know better from behind the curtain just a little bit. And I know you're taking time out to be with us, so thank you very much. The mayor has been mayor for 3 years now, 3 and a little bit, and he's finishing his second term. And I want you to hear some of the things that he has helped lead for accomplishments for our city. They're really remarkable. And then in the last so many minutes of the show, I'm asking him to share what his concerns are as he looks forward to the candidates coming on board. So if that's okay with you, Mayor,
sure.
We'll hit
Pleasure to be here, Lyle.
Thank you, sir. And I really do. I know I kid, but you are busy, and people don't know it because you keep it very low profile.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't start my day this morning until 6:45 a.m.
Oh, that's pretty late.
I slept in.
Yeah. I'm going to tell you, okay, this is my show. I get to do what I want. First couple of times we had breakfast years ago, he said, yeah, can I please meet with you and we'll have breakfast? I said, sure. 6:30 breakfast? No. I told him I was going to run for mayor, and the first thing I was going to do is we're no business before 10, breakfast or anything. I didn't run, by the way. He did, but okay. 6:45.
Yeah.
You slept in.
A little bit. Had some work to do before I got to breakfast.
I'm thinking of all sorts of comebacks, but I don't want to have problems as I go out of here. Just joking. Can I just go down the list of some things that I see as accomplishments?
Absolutely.
And correct me if I've got them wrong or misspoken. I mean that sincerely.
Keep in mind, when I ran for mayor, I said I would be a full-time mayor because we've had a lot of mayors that take their obligations very lightly. So I made that statement, and I've kept it.
Yeah. Well, and your accomplishments are really remarkable. He gave, by the way, if you go to Prescott E-News, on the front page, you'll see a state of the city address that the mayor gave. It's all written out there. It's quite a few accomplishments. You helped with the passage of Proposition 478 back in November of 2024. Would you explain what that accomplished?
Well, 478 is a 0.95% sales tax. So if you spend $100, you're going to spend 95 cents of that $100 to help fund a catch-up plan to be able to build at least 2 new fire stations, a new police evidence facility, to be able to equip those stations with several new fire trucks, hire an appropriate number of firefighters to staff the stations, do the training, and be able to catch up in a long delayed effort to be able to maintain public safety and response times that we all should be able to expect. The last time a fire station was built in the city of Prescott was 1994.
Really?
So 40 years ago, and there hasn't been another one since then. So over that period of time, the population of Prescott has grown by 60%, and the number of 911 calls has gone up by 200%.
Oh, my.
So because of that, our response times have dropped from about 6 minutes to nearly 12. So if you have a critical emergency and you call 911 and you have to wait 12 minutes for the first responders to arrive and then be able to stabilize you and maybe transport you to an emergency room or deal with a fire or police matters, you can't wait that long. That's far too long. So that's why we proposed this tax to be able to build these 2 new fire stations, equip and hire people so that we can reduce those response times to an acceptable level.
Now, with the 2 new fire stations proposed and being planned, are we going to get fire trucks or how's that work?
We've already placed orders for them.
Oh.
You know, there's only 2 companies in the whole country that manufacture a fire truck. So we have a 2-year lead time from the time we place an order until it arrives in the city.
Oh, my.
So we've already placed orders for them.
How many fire trucks did we order?
Well, we're going to need at least 2 per station.
That's 4.
Yeah, and we're going to relocate the fire station that's out by the Centennial Center by the airport and probably move it around so it's maybe north of 89A off of Pioneer Parkway, so it has more response options. So that'll be at least to get going, and then being able to repair and maintain the current fire trucks that we have. I mean, we just placed an order for a ladder truck about 1.5 years ago. That's 2.5 to 3 year lead time. So it's going to arrive just about the time our current ladder truck loses its certification. So that's why you really have to have long-term planning.
I'm sitting here listening. This is really shocking that we haven't had a new fire station since '94.
Yep.
And the city has grown
tremendously,
so significantly.
And
wow.
more and more, because in essence, we've become primarily a retirement community. Anybody who follows healthcare knows that the last 5 or 10 years of your life is when you use probably 90% of all the healthcare you need. So as we continue to age in this community, the demand for 911 calls that are healthcare related, emergency related, grows.
Amazing. And that really does take some foresight, planning these things for the city.
And that's what that proposition and tax is designed for. Well, in addition to that, we've adjusted our impact fees for new development. Now, impact fees are really there to maintain that public service. So we not only had to catch up with this tax that allows us to catch up for long delayed decisions, not putting in new fire stations, but being able to have impact fees that allow us to keep up and maintain it as we grow forward.
Wow. You've been very busy not only with the fire issue and the police issue, trying to get the police department up to snuff as far as hiring, but also facilities and evidence space.
Well, the space for evidence, I think they caught a serial killer about 6 months ago based upon DNA evidence that they had stored for almost 30 years. Because being able to analyze some of this DNA and to be able to attach it to a possible suspect, we have to store this stuff for 99 years. 99 years. And it has to be climate controlled. So right now we've got evidence stored in multiple places around the city, and it's far overdue for us to have a storage facility that meets those requirements for long-term preservation.
So that's just been one thing on your list of having to look forward and actually looking forward, but also catching up. And you also were involved as the mayor and the city council directing a new city manager, deputy city manager, airport director, and
Yeah, we had some significant turnover in those leadership positions over the last couple of years. So now having a city manager that's been on board now for about 7 or 8 months, and then he brought in a new deputy city manager that's been on board for about maybe 2 months, and a new airport director who's highly respected. He's been out there almost a year now. And we put in a new director of our library services.
Oh.
So we have some turnover expected. We're going to get some retirements at director levels in the city, and being able to recruit and hire some really qualified people is something I think the city is really going to see the benefits of.
Now, I know the airport has been a real issue for several years. I mean, it kind of grows, and then there's problems with it growing, and then it doesn't grow, and there's problems with it not growing.
Well, we did the right thing when we made the decision to build that new terminal.
Mm-hmm.
If we built that same terminal today, it would probably cost at least double. The cost of construction and construction materials has gone up so much in the last 3 or 4 years. The fact that we made that decision, I think it's about 6 years ago, and completed it. I mean, anybody who goes out to that terminal is really impressed. It's nice, especially if you know what the old terminal, remember what that was like.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a great decision. And then being able to modernize our facilities out there to be able to upgrade. And now we're working on extending the runway, because a lot of people that have moved into the Deepwell Ranch residential development areas, it's amazing how many people buy a property there and they say, yeah, I know it's next to the airport, but I didn't know there was that many planes. You know, right now we're about the 22nd busiest airport in the entire country when you look at the number of operations. And a lot of those operations are student pilots that are getting trained at Embry-Riddle University.
And they're taking off all the time.
They're taking off. I mean, when we dedicated the terminal, I looked at my watch. Every 45 seconds, here comes another student plane taking off.
Is that right?
Yeah. And that's from...
didn't know that.
Yeah, from dawn until dusk.
Now, there's two, I don't know this. I'm glad you're here, because I was going to ask this question because somebody asked me the other day. I go, I don't know. I'll ask the mayor. There's 2 commercial flights a day.
Correct.
I got that right. And is that going to enlarge? Are we going to have 3 or 4?
It may.
Okay.
I mean, right now we have a newly designated essential air service contract with SkyWest Airlines that flies under the United label. So they're authorized to do 2 daily flights, one to Los Angeles and one to Denver. But as the volume continues to grow, I think you'll see more commercial aircraft wanting to operate here.
Really?
But one of the important things is being able to have a longer runway. Right now, our runway is longer than the one that tried to land at Ronald Reagan Airport and had that crash.
Really?
So we have a longer runway than that, and we'd like to see it extended probably another 2,000 feet. Because think about it. Those student pilots now, if with an extended runway, can take off and gain altitude way earlier. So by the time they fly over the residential developments, they're high enough that they're not as
noisy,
impacting, right?
Let me go to another area. And ladies and gentlemen, I realize on each of these topics, you could give us a dissertation. No, I mean that properly, but you could. And we just don't have the time, but I'll get them back here, okay? No breakfast at 06:30, though. 8 o'clock. Long-term water management. That's a problem in Prescott, water management. Give us a snippet of what you've been addressing.
Well, when I originally ran for even city council and then mayor, I knew that we're the only designated assured water supply city in northern Arizona. So we have the status under the Arizona Department of Water Resources to be able to utilize our water portfolio based upon our own discretion. We don't have to go to ADWR and apply for a certificate of a 100-year water supply.
Oh.
We get to designate how to allocate our water. So when you think about that, if we can control the allocation of water, then we can also control the pace and growth of development, because you can't develop a new residential property or a planned area development without water to serve the people and the homes that they build there. So by managing that water allocation, we manage the growth, so the growth doesn't overwhelm our public services or our roads and congestion and those kinds of things. So by managing that well, we can manage the pace of growth so it doesn't overwhelm our quality of life.
That's a great way to segue into this. And I think many of us recognize what I'm about to say here. There's been a 62% jump in single family building permits. We got more homes going up everywhere.
Yeah, and permits are usually separated from the planned area developments of the big developments like Deepwell Ranch and Granite Dells Estates and things like that. Mm-hmm. But once they start a new phase, they have to pull permits too. So there's a lot of interest in more residential development in the area, both in single family and in multifamily apartment complexes and things like that.
I'll be darned.
And that's the kind of thing that will lower the cost. I mean, 2 years ago, if you wanted to try to get an apartment, you had to get on a waiting list and be able to sign like a 2-year lease. Now you're seeing month-to-month offers because the number of multifamily developments has gone up. So consequently, the number of availabilities has also improved, which means that you're starting to see things like, first month free, no move-in costs. So it's a supply and demand situation. And as more of those, we got another, I think, 1,500 units that are in development. Then you're starting to see a lower cost per month.
Wow, that's exciting. Yeah. I didn't know that. Yeah. I didn't know this one either. I may have this wrong, but the creation of a 104-room hotel at the old City Hall. Yep. And that's right next door. I'll explain it in just a second. Yeah. It's right next door, right? Mm-hmm. The old City Hall, ladies and gentlemen, right next door to Prescott E-News on Goodwin here. What's in that old building?
Goodwin and Cortez.
Yeah.
The old City Hall is still there.
Yeah, and people are in there.
We still have our permitting desk. There's still a few people still working there. But we're finishing off the final renovations at the new City Hall. We'll be moving those people over.
And then that's going to be a hotel?
Yeah, that'll be a hotel.
Do they have to tear down the old City Hall?
You bet they do. Believe me, that it needs to be done.
Duct tape's not going to work.
We had leaking in the basement. We had black mold in the walls.
Oh.
The roof was a sieve. Whenever we'd get a monsoon, you'd see all kinds of buckets in the hallway. It was well overdue.
We're a small town. Yeah. It's kind of quaint. It's community.
Yeah, we have a recommendation for rainwater harvesting. So we did our own rainwater harvesting with 5-gallon Home Depot buckets.
Oh my! This is the mayor. So there's going to be a 104-room hotel going up. I mean, I'm not being funny for 30 seconds.
No, and it'll be about the same height as the post office right across the street.
Oh,
it'll be a little lower than the height of the courthouse. But
fascinating.
The developers have done such a good job. They've redesigned it, half a dozen or more times to make sure that the architecture blends in with the historical nature of the post office. And it's not too high, and it's not overpowering in its size.
Very nice.
Yeah, we're looking forward to that.
And that will surely help with tourism and guests coming to.
Oh yeah, we've seen studies done to show that there's still an overwhelming need for more hotel rooms.
Oh, exciting.
Yeah.
I did not know that. I just read this morning.
Yeah, and it'll have some meeting rooms inside, and there was a interior restaurant. So there'll be a little bit of mixed use going on.
Yeah. And when might they start breaking ground on that and getting going?
We should start seeing them doing core drilling through the parking lot here in the next couple of weeks, so they can determine what the underground composition is, because they're planning on having underground parking, so it doesn't overwhelm the demand on street parking.
Wow. You're hearing that first here almost. Oh, we're breaking news. I'd like to shift gears. I'm going to have you come back if I may. There's a number of accomplishments, and I know you don't talk about them. I mean this seriously. He does not stand and brag about things, but I ask the questions. It's my show. I get to do that. Yeah. But you've accomplished a number of things, and I want the people to know what you've accomplished to not only keep Prescott quaint and community-minded, but also to prepare for our future. It's a real balancing.
Maintain the quality of life and being able to keep the historical and cultural history, at the same time provide good public services that people can rely on.
And you've done that. I've got a list of accomplishments the mayor has been very involved in, if not leading or both. And I'd like to go over some more of that. But the reason I'm breaking away from that now is because part of what in the last so many minutes we have, what I heard you say at a luncheon was your concerns.
Well, I think it's important that the voters select someone who understands how the city operates. I mean, it's all well and good to say I'd like to be on the city council or I'd like to be a mayor, but there's a lot of functional processes that have to be well managed. So knowing how the city works, understanding all of the various departments that we have, we have almost a $250 million city budget. That's a big number. I mean, we own our own airport.
Yeah.
We have both police and fire departments that the city operates, and, public works and streets and roads and trash collection. All those things provide the total experience of a quality of life here. So understanding how that city operates is important to be able to lead it or to make decisions on policy, which is what the council should be doing. They make the policy, and then we have a city manager council form of government where the city manager takes that policy and then implements it through directing their staff.
Well, I'm going to push you, and I don't mean to be funny or argumentative, but I'm going to push you. If there were city council people who wanted to run for mayor, then they meet at least what you're saying. They've been in city council. They know the different departments and all that. So they'd be more qualified than if I ran. Mm-hmm. And I'm not running, although I can be recruited. But if I decide to run, I'm not city council. I haven't gone to the meetings. I don't know. But they've been in a lot of these meetings.
There are ways that you can educate yourself. Number one, maybe you could come to a city council meeting and watch how the city deliberates and makes decisions on council. Maybe you go to the Citizens Academy, which is an 8-week program where you can be oriented on how all the departments operate and what they do. Or you could volunteer to serve on a city commission, committee or board, and be involved in those types of decisions, whether it's planning and zoning or historic preservation. There's a lot of we have 26 committees. So by serving on that, you also get more orientation. So there's a way of building understanding without necessarily going straight to try to get elected to the city council.
Final question for this segment, and then I am going to have you come back, because I think we've just very scratched the surface on this. Give me a sentence, okay? What's the most important thing that you would like to see a candidate who wants to become mayor?
Well,
I heard what you just said. Right. I respect it.
One sentence?
Yes, sir. It's my show. No. Yeah, really.
Can I violate my 5th grade English teacher's restriction on run-on sentences?
Oh God! And people think this is easy. It's not easy. Give us a final sentence statement. Because you're going to step down. You're not going to run again. A lot of people have wanted you to, and you're going to be a citizen here, just like me.
Yeah.
And we're going to have a new mayor. What's the one really important thing that you want to see?
Well, when you see a mayoral candidate make statements on what they're going to do if they're elected mayor, I think your question should be, well, that sounds great. How are you going to do that? Tell me specifically how you're going to get that done, because that requires them to have that knowledge of how the city operates, having some basic understanding of what our finances are, and be able to put together a cogent plan on how they would get that done. A lot of people think that the mayor has some kind of extra powers. I mean, I'm just 1 vote out of 7 on the city council, but I can determine what goes onto that agenda. I can say, okay, we need to deal with this issue, and it can go on the agenda. If I don't, other than that, the city council members have to have 2 members agree to put something on the agenda if I don't think it's a good idea. So that's a little bit of help. But I think being able to have somebody tell you, how are you going to do it? That's important to know.
Right. Thank you. I meant that sincerely. I know we're playing around with it, but I meant that sincerely. You've got the experience. And again, I'm going to ask the mayor to come back because there are some accomplishments that impact all of us that we haven't had time to discuss. And I'm going to push you to discuss them. And I know you don't normally, but I think they're really important for Prescott's future.
I think a lot of people didn't know that I was the primary broker to solve this separation between Blue Cross Blue Shield and their health care insurance and Dignity Health.
Yes.
That there was a couple of months there where there were no in-network hospital services available to Blue Cross Blue Shield. So I contacted Senator Kelly, I contacted Senator Sinema, I contacted Congressman Eli Crane, and I met with both the leadership at Dignity and Blue Cross Blue Shield and said, this has to get solved.
Yes, you did.
And with enough political pressure, it got solved.
Thank you. Yes, he did. I know that from a little bit from behind the curtain, but yes, you did. I hope you've enjoyed this, some of the small laughter and joy. It's not every day you get to play with a mayor like this. I'll probably end up having to wash his car tonight at midnight, but that's a separate show, separate issue.
Let's just keep this at arm's length.
My co-host really enjoyed being here today. I hope you did too, and I hope you learned something. I mean, there's really some important information that I'm going to bring him back and talk about because we're talking about the future of Prescott, and we all care, and he's already proven that, but I think there's some other accomplishments I want to share. So, Mayor, thank you so much. Thank you for joining us. I really pray that you've learned some really wonderful things about our mayor and about what's been accomplished and what still needs to be looked into. So thank you, and please, I look forward to being with you again on Yavapai Speaks.
And thanks for having me, Lyle. It's been a pleasure.
You're welcome, Your Honor.